and welcome to Muse on the News, episode 4. I'm Kel.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Yana. And I'm Molly.
And
good evening, ladies.
Good evening. You all right?
We are very well, thank you.
Yeah, I've just been told to think about what I say. I don't know why, but think about your words.
Great to have a lifetime, Yana.
Exactly.
Don't apply a filter now. That's why we love you.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway, so for anyone watching that hasn't seen us before, this is basically where we mull over a couple of news stories that we've picked, we've hand selected with much care and attention from the interweb, and we just have a bit of a natter, put the world to rights and share our opinions on the news pieces. So what we're going to start with, girls, are we going to start with Mr. Corden?
I think we are, yeah.
I think we are.
Okay, so do you want?
Yeah. So
James
Corden has had quite a starring role in this movie on Netflix called The Prom. Now it's a musical movie, so it might not be up everybody's street. However, I think of the four of us, I think I'm the only one who's watched it. I watched it this afternoon with two of our children. Interesting one. I would say that this movie is never ever going to get a 5-star review. But I think for the community, I think it's a really positive thing. James Corden has come under fire because he's a straight actor playing a gay role. And I'm not sure that he plays it brilliantly. However, I'm not particularly offended about a straight actor playing a gay character. How do you lot feel?
Do you want me to go first? Yeah. Do you know, as much as I'm all for having LGBT representation on TV, and if we can find an appropriate actor or actress or to play those roles, then I think that's fantastic. But I don't have a problem with non-LGBT actors and actresses playing roles if they can get the right advice. And I think he was led by a gay director and was kind of followed through that. So from what I've read, because I haven't seen it yet, he kind of really wanted to embrace the role and learn as much as he possibly could to make it as authentic as possible. So why not? Maybe it might bring another sort of avenue into it.
Absolutely. I mean, if I was an actress, which I am not, but if I was an actress and I'm gay, in case you didn't know, and I was offered a role that is a very heterosexual straight role. But I thought that I can play it well and do justice. I'd take it. I'd be like more than happy. That's one thing. And the other thing is I thought James Corden was gay anyway. So
I think a lot of people do. I mean, he does play the part in a very camp way. The character is very camp. But let's face it, girls, we all know some very camp men that we love dearly, So, I as an LGBTQ person, I'm certainly not offended by it, but then I suppose I'm not a gay man.
If the part was for a camp gay man and he's playing it as a camp gay man, that's fine. And what a lot of people lose sight of is being an actor, your job literally is to pretend to be somebody you're not. That is the job. And we have tons and tons of queer actors that are playing straight every single day, and it should be okay, the other way around, as long as it's, everything is done empathetically and compassionately and with good direction, and people take the right advice. So I think we're perhaps taking it too far by saying only gay men can play gay roles.
I feel like you can actually learn something about a community that you maybe don't belong to by actually going down that path and actually exploring those kind of characteristics. And like you were saying, I think it's Neil Patrick Harris played in How I Met Your Mother, and I watched sort of 10 seasons of that, and you would have thought he was the biggest womanizer going, and then actually you find out that in real life he's a gay man married with 2 kids.
Oh my God, he played a straight role.
Played a straight role,
and oh my God, what a fantastic role it was! I absolutely loved him in that. But yeah, he's gay as a gay thing.
Yeah, but our actors have been doing it for generations, and we all know that there's been this. Ever since time began, the boards have been, sashayed across by queer actors. It's always been the case. And we've got our absolute favourites and our icons like Jodie Foster, who's been playing straight women her whole career, and it's never been a problem. So I don't really see see a problem with James Corden doing it if he was the man selected for the job.
Anyway, I selected this story because I wanted to touch on some of the other things that this film brought up, some of the other topics. And so I watched it with two of the kids, as I said earlier. One of them is 15-year-old Dara, who's a youth ambassador for Pride in Surrey. And she's got quite good insight into lots of issues within the community. But the story is about a prom where it's cancelled because somebody wants to attend the prom with her girlfriend. And the PTA decide they're not going to allow this prom to occur. And so it's a journey about a number of actors trying to make sure, getting involved in a campaign to make sure that prom happens for this young girl. So I won't give the end of it away, but it does hit on some quite meaty topics, including, parental rejection, which is really significant, and peer rejection as well. And I just, while I was kind of sitting there going, oh God, is this ever going to end? Dara was absolutely enthralled, and it's because there isn't relatable movies for a young gay girl, and I think we're really missing that in our media, and I think it's really refreshing to see this film out, and she was thrilled with it.
That's the problem, isn't it? Everyone's criticizing James Corden's problem rather than actually praising the fact that films like this are being made and there's more representation out there. They're just looking for something to find fault with.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Something Molly's quite familiar with because she's organised a prom, haven't you?
Have organised a prom, absolutely.
LGBT prom.
Yeah, and I think we touching on that earlier because actually that was for what seems to be a very similar reason, in that actually some schools either ban, you have to wear a dress or you have to wear trousers. They make it a strict dress code, and maybe they have relaxed it, but the kids just don't feel comfortable going to their school prom as somebody that maybe they now identify as, but maybe for years they were afraid to come out at school. So it's not really a comfortable setting for them. So actually we did it with Pride in Surrey and with Twister, and did it in a completely different environment away from school, where actually kids could come from across Surrey, and maybe you went around your teachers and stuff, so you could just be exactly who you wanted to be. But what you were saying about
our daughter went to the prom, we picked her up prom. We didn't volunteer because she was going, and we didn't feel that it would be fair for her mums to be there, right? So she went by herself. We collected her, and she was just on such a high. And she went in her trousers and her waistcoat and shirt and her bow tie.
She looked awesome.
She had a whale of a time. And not only that, we saw some of her friends from her youth club who were just so delighted to be there as themselves. And in fact, there's a scene at the end of the movie. It's sort of given away. If you don't want to know the end of the movie, switch off and then come back to it. Okay, I'll give you a second. So there's a scene at the end of the movie where there is a queer prom, and it's just beautiful. It's just a lovely, lovely scene of all these, queer couples there and having a great time. And it actually put me in mind of the video for Grace Petrie's Black Tie song, which she organised that by inviting a whole load of queer people to come along to a gig, and she recorded it. And she explained that sort of to try and to make it look like a prom. And if you look at that video, it's available on YouTube, and we might be able to put a link to it in the comments. But she was absolutely thrilled with the number of people that turned up and the joy in the faces of the people that took part in that. And I just think there's a real place for that, and I think it's something that we're very proud of having offered at Pride in Surrey, and hopefully we'll be able to do that again next year, because I think for young people it's a really powerful experience, that freedom to just be who they are.
Exactly, absolutely. And I think it's really important, like you said earlier, that we touch on actually how important this is as representation. I don't think there's enough lesbian representation in the media. There's a lot of films coming out now that focus on gay men at school and gay boys at school, but not so much lesbians. And actually, I think I watched a film the other day called Let It Snow, and the main character in that was a lesbian girl. So that was really nice to see.
It was really good. We know that we've had Love, Simon out previously, which was absolutely fantastic, but there was a second book that came from that author called Leah on the Offbeat, and that was never made into a film. And I think it's just a real shame, because that was a great story. I took great pleasure in reading that book.
I think we're getting there, aren't we? And actually, these films, they are getting, you know, they are selling. They're getting the numbers, and they're proving that there is an audience for the films, and they're proving there's a mainstream audience for the films. You know, these aren't the kind of DVDs that we're ordering for 20 quid out of an advert at the back of Diva anymore. They're in the cinemas. They're on Netflix. You know, they're accessible for everybody, and hopefully the studios will start to see that, you know, that they will be watched, and hopefully the films will get made.
So
absolutely.
more of the same, please.
More queer films, please, filmmakers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, shall we move on to our next story? So, Yana, I think it was your
should
story.
be mine. Yeah, that should be mine. And actually, it's not an LGBT story, but it is something that carries on from our last Muse on the News when we talked about thunder snow.
Yeah.
Which I thought was something different. And I've come across an article that talks about Northern Lights, and I absolutely love Northern Lights. And it's all about this stunning beauty of one of nature's most spectacular events, and it's been captured in the pictures. And it's the series of 25 winning pictures. And those pictures are absolutely incredible. It makes you think, is this real? Because when you look at them, it's like something out of outer space. It is incredible. And I just think it's something that everyone should experience in their lifetime. And Molly and I actually did go chasing after Northern Lights 3 years ago for Molly's 30th. I took her to Iceland. You know, look at those pictures. Incredible. We went to Iceland in the hope that we will see them. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but we are not going to give up, because I can't imagine anything better than standing there, you know, in the dark, looking at the sky and seeing what you see in those pictures. It's just incredible. And I'm so gutted we didn't see it. You know, no, we did still have a wonderful time.
We did, absolutely.
But it would have been just that extra little bit special if we got to see the Northern Lights and take a picture. We did have a little, when we come out of the hotel, we thought, oh, is that Northern Lights? It was just like a little light of something different in the sky, and we got really excited.
There was too much snow, wasn't there?
It was. It's got to be clear sky and no pollution. So that's really important. That's why people do it. Iceland.
Actually, one of the best places is Northern Scotland.
Scotland, yeah, Scotland.
And it's much cheaper than Scandinavia to visit.
Yeah, it is. You can see it in Canada, I think. Russia, parts of Russia. But for us, I think, yeah,
Russia.
Yeah, Australia, apparently. I think they called something,
Yes, Australiaris.
Australiaris.
Something like that. And the Southern Lights is probably what they're called.
But honestly, I believe you girls haven't seen them yourself. But please put that on your bucket list.
It's on the bucket list. Iceland is on the bucket list. She desperately wants to go, but yeah, cold. But yeah, if there was a guarantee to be able to see the Northern Lights, then, you know, I'd be there in a heartbeat. It's just, you know, I believe you told me that, you know, someone that's been there 7 or 8 times and still not had a glimpse. It's that.
No, it was me. I know somebody who's been 7 times but did manage to see them on the 7th attempt. But that's a lot of money to spend to see them. Hey,
yeah. But the experience in itself of going to Iceland, right?
Yeah,
definitely. I think because when I booked it, it was called something Golden Circle. I think it was called. That I booked, and part of the Golden Circle was seeing different things around Iceland, and one of them was seeing Northern Lights. So I thought, you know, if we're not lucky enough and Molly won't get to see Northern Lights, or, you know, myself, we'll see other things. So it was like tectonic, you know, the tectonic plates where they meet. So you've got a crack in the ground. It's incredible. And, you know, we went to see that, and it's like, yeah, it's not Northern Lights, but that's literally amazing.
Walking between 2 plates is just such a fantastic experience.
It was incredible. And we were lucky enough that actually, the time we went, it snowed. There was no snow when we got there. And the day we went out for the trip, it just started snowing. But I mean, the snowflakes were the size of your head, honestly, massive. It was incredible. And it was, you know, like skin cutting cold. It was
the coldest, yeah, and you felt like it was like slicing through your thighs. It was proper cold, and just like, and Jana, bless her, used to smoke back then, and you would stand outside the hotel in the evening, and you'd be like, "No, it's okay. I don't smoke. I can go back inside. It's fine."
But if you do find yourself, bear in mind.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that in that time of the year, you get very short daylight. So we would wake up about 8 o'clock, but the sun wouldn't rise until 11. So it's dark, completely dark until 11, and then the sun starts going down again at 4,
3, I think,
half past 3. This is in January, so you get a very, very short time to go and sort of explore the country. But then obviously you've got longer in the evening to perhaps spot the northern lights.
Definitely a dreamy location.
I've really missed travel this year.
Yeah.
Really missed traveling this year. You're making me like lonesome for packing my bag and heading off.
Soon, hopefully.
Yeah. We all miss it, but it's nice to give something to people to dream about, right?
What a dream, yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll get there.
Right.
We'll get there. We'll be traveling again.
Yeah, absolutely. A little less dreamy, but in terms of nature, but maybe more dreamy in terms of equality. So
absolutely.
Right. So while Kel's getting this up for us, this is another step forward in equality and diversity. This is Bhutan's parliament in Asia, and they have decriminalized homosexuality in terms of gay sex, which had previously been seen as an unnatural sex, and is now okay. So I feel like it's one step forward. Yeah, it's nice that they've said it's okay. Of course, we've known this all along, but it's just another step forward, especially in Asia's history, because so many little countries are actually making that step forward. And I hope that now they've done this and they're showing more compassion to the community, that actually it will go forward and we'll get sort of same-sex marriage eventually. I just feel like it's another really positive step.
It's nice they say homosexuality. Sorry.
Go on.
Carry on.
Oh, it's just nice that they say homosexuality will now not be seen as unnatural sex. I think it's the most natural thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, for someone to tell me it's not natural, I don't know. I think it's amazing news. It is, but it's just so sad to think that actually they've only just getting to that point. How lucky are we, really?
I just hope that it moves at a faster pace than our rights did, because when homosexuality was decriminalised here, people were still being arrested, people were still being beaten in the streets. There was still a huge issue, and there is a big difference between decriminalisation and legalisation. And I think attitudes take a long time to catch up with legislation. So I just hope that this can happen quicker in Bhutan than it happened here and in a lot of other places across the world. What's nice to see is this happening in places like Bhutan, where actually they're moving forward. And unfortunately, in a lot of countries, look at everything going on in Poland at the moment, everything seems to be going backwards.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That's a good point. Yeah, a country like Bhutan coming up with this, when Poland, who you think, is so much closer to here, which is so far ahead of all this, and it's going backwards. So I think that's really good.
Yeah, I wonder what their community is like, whether actually their community is a lot more accepting and it's taken a while for the government to get on board, or whether there was that push, that pressure from the people in the community that actually pushed this to happen, which would be really promising, because then I feel like they're already a step ahead of the game.
I hope so. It was very much like that in Ireland, wasn't it? The Irish people were 10 steps ahead of the government and the law, weren't they?
Yeah, and I think when, the equality rights the right to marry was won by popular vote in Ireland, which I think was the first country in the world, and it was a landslide. It was a landslide result for equality, and as an Irish person, I'm very proud of that, and I would love to see more countries driven like that to achieve equality for the LGBTQ community. But I think we need to be under no illusion here that this is certainly a massive step forward for Bhutan, but there are so many countries across the world where those rights are still a very far away dream. And you know, I think our role as you know, as Pride in general, no matter where we are, is to ensure that everybody across the world has equality. And we won't stop working until that's the case. You know, that's our role. And yes, we are in a very privileged position here in the UK now, but we can't take those rights for granted either. No. You know, there's still is challenging attitudes here in our own society too, so we need to continue to challenge them here, and then support Pride movements across the world, because you know, everybody deserves the right to be who they are, and we need to keep striving for that.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that as easily as rights can be granted, they can be taken away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really important note, isn't it? We can't afford to stop pushing. And actually, if we, you know, we've come so far as a Pride movement just within Surrey in the last year or two. And if we can build on that strength and use that to work with other communities and twin with other cities and towns in other countries, and sort of use that strength to try and change opinions elsewhere, I think we need to work together. It's like any issue, isn't it? If you can actually strengthen numbers, that's really important. Yeah, and good that we can actually talk about places like this and raise awareness.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I think, you know, we can be very confident, I think, in the next generation. You know, I think when you talk to young people and you see how they are with each other, and you know what allies the young generation, the younger people are, I just, you know, it's inspiring. And I think we're in a really positive position. We just need to keep harnessing their enthusiasm and spreading that love, because they're incredible young people, aren't they, coming up?
They are, because to them it's just a given. Everybody's equal, and that's just the state of play, because, you know, they've been born into, you know, a position of privilege in this country where, you know, the rights, they're born with them, they haven't had to fight for them, and to them it's just they're their rights, and they're not going to let anybody take them away.
Exactly. And what's brilliant, like when we talk to our kids about the sort of experiences in school, and when you see how fiercely they protect their LGBTQ friends, I just love it. I just, you know, I would have loved to have had a friend like that when I was young, and you know, to have the confidence that they have, and you know, they don't shy away from challenging any bigoted attitudes. I just think it's great. We just need that to spread. And all the ripple effect that we always refer to in Pride in Surrey, it's there, and it is rippling hard. So we just needed to reach far and wide.
And not just their queer friends, you know, friends that have any difference, you know, that they are just people to them, and that there are very few labels now being thrown around, whereas perhaps when we were at school there was perhaps more racism than they would encounter now. It just doesn't occur to them to differentiate between skin color or faith or race. You know, it doesn't occur to them at all.
Well, it does occur to them. It occurs to them in a very positive way. So they've been taught to appreciate difference, to recognize difference and appreciate it and celebrate it. And I think that's just wonderful. And some of the conversations we've had around our dinner table here about the Black Lives Matter movement, and even different religious festivals and customs and stuff, you know, they're so interested. And I think it's really fabulous. I think it's really, really good. And I think our schools are doing a sterling job in cultivating that within our young people. It's good stuff, isn't it?
And of course,
I think it's one of the positive things, I think, as well about social media, is actually you've got everything at the end of your fingertips. And we often say it can be quite a negative thing, but actually you can find out about anything, and you can connect with anyone. You can look at different festivals around the world. I mean, we do a thing in Twister where we post on Instagram every day about either different disabilities or different religious holidays, or how you can get help and stuff, and just connecting all those things together and finding out, like this week is Festival of Light with Hanukkah, and actually we have a Jewish young person at Twister, and they are so keen to educate other young people, and they're keen to learn, and you can just find out anything. It's fascinating, and their enthusiasm, like you say, just is so infectious.
That's it. A lot of the problems of the unknown, don't they? And the kids now just have information at their fingertips.
Yeah. Kids are our future. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing. It's fantastic.
Your kids are our future, so no pressure on them, but keep doing what you're doing.
They're not a bad bunch.
They're all right. I think we'll probably keep them.
Yeah, I recommend you do.
They're all right.
Ladies.
Yes, let's do it.
And this last story, I love, love, love this. So let's get this up for our viewers to see. Can we see, girls?
Oh, people will recognize this gentleman, I reckon.
I think they might.
Not just yet.
Somebody that has been in the news this year for just being an absolute incredible chap. Do you want to talk us through this one?
It's your story, buddy. Go for it.
Okay, so we all know Captain Tom Moore, who raised an incredible amount of money for the NHS earlier on during the year, during the first lockdown, by walking up and down his garden and just being an absolute trooper. Has come out as an LGBT ally, and the guy's 100 years old. That's what amazes me about this, and this is what makes me so happy. I think often people accuse the older generations of being slightly more bigoted and more stuck in their ways, and that's an excuse that's chucked around to allow people to have bigoted points of view. But for a man of 100 to come out and say, yeah, whatever, I love everyone, everyone's cool, I think is absolutely brilliant. I love it.
It's such a feel-good story, isn't it? I can't believe that it was only this year that actually he walked, was it 100 laps of his garden for his 100 years, I think?
Yeah.
And raised something like 32 million or something. It was just completely insane. I think just the whole country got on board with him. And it's fantastic that he's come out now with his shoelaces. And I think I actually find, you're right, we kind of generalise, don't we, that the older generation, but I know a few people in their 90s that are actually the most accepting people, maybe because of how much they went through in previous wars and how much they see we've actually fought to get to where we are now. I find so those people kind of reaching 100 are just so inspiring, and the fact that he's still going is just amazing.
I can't even imagine. He's 60 years senior to me, and he walks all these laps. Sometimes I struggle getting out of bed and just going for a shower. Jesus, ow. How do you do it? Amazing.
It's just lovely that somebody representing the older generation.
Yeah, and somebody that captured so many hearts, I think. So actually people are listening to him now and actually kind of following his story. So actually even just him posting something on social media or talking about it in the news is just reaching such a demographic. So it's really positive.
But you have...
Sorry, Yana, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, I think when somebody reaches that age, you can't help but just sort of be incredulous at the wisdom they must hold. They've been through so much in their lives, and I think with that wisdom comes a bit of a live and let live attitude, and one of sheer tolerance. And for him to come out and say this, I just think he's such a well-respected human being with such a high profile this year. And I think for us as a community to have somebody like that advocating for us, I think it's just a really, really powerful thing. And the reach is massive on that. And I think it's probably one of the most positive things to happen for us this year.
I think we missed a trick there. I think we should have invited him to open our Pride and Surrey shop.
Well, why don't we see if we can get Captain Tom for one of our big interviews?
That would be incredible. Exactly. I would definitely like to listen to that.
If you don't ask, you don't know, but we can certainly see, and to have someone like him to speak to, crikey, that would be an interview that was longer than half an hour, wouldn't it? The amount of to say, the stories he must have to tell.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, this year's obviously, it's been really long, exhausting. I think a lot of people are ready for a break and for a new year, but so many inspirational stories that have come out of it. And this is just one of them, just the power of people, isn't it? Selflessness.
It's just refreshing, because for every gay people didn't exist when I was young. There are a couple of Captain Toms out there saying, yeah, they did. My granddad was sadly lost him last year, but he was always an LGBT champion, and he never batted an eyelid when I came out, and he was happy for us, and he didn't have an issue. And I think most older people probably feel the same.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, and you sometimes have your doubts because you think 100 years old and he's doing all this. It's like, But then, how old is Bobby, your customer?
Yeah, customer, right? Yeah, she'll be 90 on Christmas Eve.
So, her customer who's 90 years old had a fall and broke her hip, I believe, and she's in hospital. And Molly says, "Oh, Bobby's just texted me," and I'm like, Bobby, who's 90 years old, sitting in a hospital bed, texting Molly about what happened to her, how it happened. It's just the fact that she's texting. Like, my dad couldn't text.
Paragraphs as well.
And, she's talking about the plants she can see out her window and, like, calling them japonica and all this Latin names. And she's texting on her phone. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. 90 years old.
Yeah, we shouldn't. Yeah, you can't say just because you're a certain age that you can't do something. But if you want to and you've got some ability, then why not?
I think older people are just getting more and more fabulous.
Yeah.
And I love Tom.
People are living longer, people are living longer, and we're going to be old ladies one day. Touch wood.
Yeah,
I'm already an old lady. Look at it.
I think you've got a little while to go yet, love. But it's easy for people to dismiss old people and just forget that they were young once, and forget their tearaways and had lives and had exciting lives. There haven't always been older people that sit around and get excited about a pattern on their kitchen roll. They've been people. They are people.
Yeah. I absolutely love listening to them. So many of my customers are the older generation, and I didn't grow up with any grandparents. So listening to their stories and their wisdom is just fantastic. You just feel like you can learn so much from them. We'll quite happily sit and have a cup of tea and listen for hours. It's beautiful.
People.
That's lovely. Okay, so that's our 4 stories, but it just occurred to me that last episode 3, we decided we were going to do a word of the week, didn't we?
Oh.
So, Jana,
and we've been using our word of the week.
I haven't used it once.
Oh, right. We've used it quite a lot, actually.
We did say that the Pride pop-up shop was like a rainbow upchuck.
Upchuck, yeah. Well, see, we actually personally adopted the word cooch as our word of the week, and we've been using that a lot.
We spoke about that one a lot too, actually. So let's make cooch the word of this week.
Cooch,
I love that word.
We commenced in the 18th of December 2020. Cooch, ladies and gentlemen, is the word. Use it frequently, use it gusto. Enjoy.
So before we wrap up, we must tell you probably the biggest news story for Pride in Surrey, and we've mentioned it a couple of times this evening, but not gone into detail. We are delighted that we have our Pride shop open in Woking. So it's in the Peacock Centre, isn't it, girls?
Yep, on the theatre mall at the top by the cinema and the theatre.
Yeah.
So well worth a visit. Pick up all your bits and bobs for all your gay pals, for your sons, your daughters, your aunties, your uncles, your grannies, your neighbours, whoever you want to spread the rainbow to. You can absolutely go and get some really good stuff there. So I think the opening hours, this week we're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So please do pop along. I think we are there on Saturday morning.
You'll see us there on Saturday morning, but please bear in mind it's not just a retail space. It is also an LGBTQ+ safe space. And we also have information there that we're able to give out to anybody that needs it, anybody that has a need to talk to somebody or looking for some signposting. We are there for you. Come and see us, and we'll have a natter, and we'll do our very best to look after you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic to have a space in Woking.
Yeah, you popped in yesterday morning, didn't you?
Yeah, we popped in yesterday when it first opened, and obviously we've been there the night before doing a bit of setting up and stuff, and we've learned that Jana can't use a price gun, so it's a good bit of fun. It's looking beautiful, it's got so much colour in it, and there's so many gifts that mean so much, but are actually really well priced. So there's loads of little stocking fillers as well.
Yeah, my sister's a real like good critic. Like she says it as it is, and actually she said to me when I send her photos and videos, she said that shop looks absolutely stunning. So it's going to attract all sorts of people, and actually it's going to attract kids a lot. You've got rainbow, you've got pink. Oh my God, it's wonderful, and it is absolutely, and it's just another step for Pride in Surrey to prove to you guys that we're not here just that one day in the year for the Pride Parade or the party. We're here 365 days, and please, 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 if you are struggling, do contact us, and maybe Kel will pop up a little message just to show you how. This is our text service, and if you are struggling, please do text talk in capitals to 88440 zeros. Just 884410.
No.
1 0. Do it again.
Talk in capitals to 88440.
Yeah.
There you go. Yay. And we'll be there to point you in the right direction. That's what we do.
Absolutely. That's it. You are not alone. So thank you everyone for watching for another week. This has been Muse on the News, and we will see you next week. Cheers, guys. Bye, night. Bye.
See you later. Bye.